How to know whether someone likes you or not. There are definitive ways to know whether someone is holding a negative or a positive attitude towards you or not. The best and the most practical way to tell is by watching out for specific body language signals and signs. In the body language one-on-one video earlier, we discussed the basics of body language signals and how they should be read in context and not as separate signals. A great example would be our first sign, the arms crossed along the chest. This is a sign of someone being on the defensive. It's a strong universal indicator that shows someone is creating a barrier between themselves and you. Can be done by crossing their arms to cover their chest in front or holding a purse in a defensive manner. The gesture evokes a negative feeling, despite one making it feeling comfortable in that way. He or she is likely to start developing a negative attitude towards what is being said. Research shows that people who use this gesture in seminars and lectures have only retained up to 35% of what was being said. So this gesture is not that effective for learning. On the other hand, you still have to judge it by context. If someone is feeling cold and he or she uses this gesture, you can look out for other signals as well, such as their legs being tightly crossed to maintain heat, or them shaking in cold that proves that they are just feeling cold and not necessarily on the defensive. It would be nice of you to offer them a hot drink or a jacket. How fast someone is nodding. Have you ever wanted someone to get their point across so you can immediately share yours? I have. Have you noticed how fast you were nodding your head in some of these cases? Probably a bit too fast. Looking out for how fast someone is nodding their head is one of the methods by which you can determine whether a person is interested in what you're talking about or not, and is a great indicator to know whether you should move on to another topic or not. A nod that is too slow is usually a sign of boredom and someone who is simply tired of a potentially repetitive argument that is going to lead to nowhere. A nod that is too fast is usually a sign of frustration. Either someone simply doesn't agree with you and just wants you to finish talking, or someone wants to get a point across and is waiting for you to finish. Either way, it's usually a good idea to stop at that point and let that person speak up their mind and listen carefully to what they have to say. A nod that is neither too fast nor too slow shows that someone agrees with you and that the topic is pleasant, or he or she holds a positive attitude towards you and what you're saying. The get me out of here feet. Men stand in angles with their bodies pointing away from one another. Women are less confrontational than men, therefore they can face each other in friendly encounters more often. Men standing facing one another usually depicts a conflict of opinions and a hostile attitude. When a man meets a woman, they usually stand facing one another. Another notable gesture would be feet crossed in a stance, which shows uncertainty, people meeting for the first time, or tension in the encounter. Be it men or women meeting each other, one of the feet pointing towards the exit in an encounter, or a body angle towards that direction for a significant period of time indicates that the person is likely to be in a rush or simply does not want to engage with you. It may be a sign to let that person be for the time being. Our pupils dilate in the dark, but so do they when we're attracted to someone. Research shows that romantic encounters are more successful in the dark than they are in the daytime. Ever wondered why the candles in the dark are considered romantic? It causes your pupils to dilate, which evokes an atmosphere of attraction, therefore making the encounter more likely to be successful. The way they are seated, the way the other person is seated says a good amount about what they are thinking at that particular moment. One example would be the ready to get up position, with the upper body leaned forward and the hands or the arms placed on the legs near the knees, signaling the person is ready to get up and leave. The person is either in a hurry or simply does not want to stay there any longer. Another example would be the legs crossed near the ankles and not the traditional leg on leg crossed position when you're seated. This could be done when you're standing, and it could signal a defensive attitude towards the other side, or simply meeting for the first time and it being an unfamiliar encounter. Whatever you do as a guy, When you're on a date with a woman wearing a skirt or even wearing pants, do not sit with your legs too wide open. Attraction works based on mirroring. And when a woman is wearing a skirt, she's going to be super conscious about opening up her legs. And generally, women are super conscious about that as well, even while wearing pants. So when you open your legs wide open as a man, the woman cannot mirror it, and it causes her to feel uncomfortable, therefore reducing the attraction. An example of a nonchalant signal that is prevalent among males is the seated laid-back hands behind the head, carefree position. This one is common among CEOs addressing their subordinate and people in power addressing those below them in the ladder. The gesture should be avoided at all costs when you're discussing something serious, especially with a female, as they tend to see it for what it is and infer that you are either apathetic or arrogant.